Welcome everybody to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. Tim, what are we speaking about tonight?
A movie I wish we would have talked about sooner, because I feel that this is a very underrated horror movie and I love it. We are talking about The Collector from 2009.
Stay tuned. Tim, please provide us with the synopsis of this movie.
Since you so eloquently asked, I will comply. Desperate to repay his debt to his ex-wife, an ex-con plots a heist at his new employer's country home, unaware that a second criminal has also targeted this property and rigged it with a series of deadly traps. The Collector.
Okay, so yes, first and foremost, I feel this movie is sadly underrated, just like you, Tim. It's one of those movies that falls under the radar quite often for people, but the story alone, as very basic as it is basically the jumping point for a whole other world that this is, this universe that it's living in. Yes, the premise is stupid basic. So you have Arkin, the main guy. He's down on his luck. He's trying to pay back his debt, like the synopsis says, and he ends up working at this old country home owned by this really rich family. And he decides that he's going to sneak back when they're going on like a trip and break into the place and steal from their safe. Basically, he's gonna break into their safe.
So I got from it that he's like a career criminal and he like sought these people out because he knew they were rich. Was it a crime of like intent, or are you saying it was just like a?
If I remember correctly, it was opportunity,
Yeah,
I guess. That's the
Okay.
vibe
Yeah,
I got.
the vibe that I get is that it's an opportunistic situation. He's trying to go legit, but what happens is that he's so stuck for what he needs and to pay back his debt and everything else, he makes a deal to say, "Listen, I got this situation. I'll go handle it, and I'll get you guys what you want from this. That'll pay my debt." And they put him on for it. So he finds out there's shit that can be obviously stolen from this place. There's a safe that he finds, everything else. It's opportunity because he figures all this out, and it just goes with the opportunity. So he comes back and finds that the place has been heavily modified since he was just there previously. There's like 4 or 5, deadbolts on the doors each. There's, wire running all throughout the place. It's like a trip wire that he doesn't want to interrupt, and he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And then the screams start, and he finds that the homeowners have been basically taken captive by somebody in a mask running around this house. And it's all kinds of booby traps that are all over the place. Booby traps. All kinds of them. All kinds of them traps. So while the premise itself starts as something very basic, like if you can give it the synopsis that he's just going to do this, it is a larger world by any means, because it introduces us to the fact that there's this sadistic fuck that basically captures, tortures, and plays with people.
No, he collects.
That's
He
the
collects
end.
people.
Is that whenever he's finished at a scene, he collects somebody. Oh, there's always at least one
No, he
person.
weans out the weak. He's weaning out the weak. He only wants the best in his collection.
It's a good way to put it, too.
what, Josh? Your opinion on this movie is very, very, very relevant and valid. As a collector watching the film,
Yeah,
you immediately got it, did you not?
100%.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are the comments in this film like, what's this guy's just doing his thing? He's collecting.
He's cool.
Quit breaking his
He's
balls.
collecting.
Quick breaking his balls.
All right, so getting back to Josh Lambert the movie.
Yeah.
So he does, and that comes out a little bit more in the second one, obviously, because when they find out that the girl has a hearing aid, you know, that other girl that's captive, you know, there's all kinds of weird shit that happens, and she's like, "You're weak, you're not that worthy and shit." But going back to this movie, yes, he is gonna capture, you know, whoever's basically survived his traps and his deadly game, as it is, so to speak. So. But it unleashes the serial killer, the collector, onto the world, because the collector, that's his thing, is he murders people, and he always takes one person from the scene. So that's what it is. As for the characters themselves, obviously we have Arkin, who, badass. I like this guy. He's street smart, which makes him an interesting character to put into this situation, because he's, like you said, he's a career criminal, but he's trying to go legit, but he's getting pulled into this world because of debts and everything else. And he's smart enough to know shit's going on, and he's got survival mode kicked. Like, he's kicked right into survival mode at this point. There's a couple times in the movie, obviously, where he's making decisions based on the fact, well, if you're going to do something stupid and I'm trying to help you, you're on your fucking own, because I need to survive this too. And that kind of comes into play quite a few times in this movie.
He had too much humanity. That was his downfall. He could have escaped a bunch of times, but he went back to help.
He absolutely could have. And the times that he did try to escape, that's the other thing, is that the times that he did try to escape, it's almost like his humanity got in the way, and all of a sudden he got injured from it, like the window. Right, with the fucking razor blades that came crashing on him, and you know, all that shit. So there was a couple of times when it didn't work out in his favor, but yeah, it's probably because he was not looking out for himself the whole time. But I mean, one of the big things would be, once again, and it ties back to the fact that he's got a daughter, and then it's, you know, he's trying to make sure that the little girl was or was not a part of what was going on, and was going to save her at the least. Like, it was almost like, you know, I'll help the parents and the sister if I can, but, you know, he's got a tie to the little girl, right? So.
I like the creativity in all the traps.
Absolutely.
There's a lot
I
of
like that too, Josh. Yeah.
A lot of good, like, Home Alone style. Definitely some hard work in the writer's room coming up with that.
Very.
It's funny you said that, because I put in here that this is like a demented Home Alone.
Oh, definitely.
Home Alone meets Saw, basically, because Marcus Dunstan had some writing with Saw. So it was kind of like, you know, Saw, but like the people weren't brought to the location came to them. You know what I mean? And the booby traps are set up.
Well, ultimately, it's taking the home invader trope and kind of putting its own twist on it, because it's not his home.
Well, the movie,
he's the home invader, but he's also in the house with another home invader.
Originally, this is kind of a precursor to some of the trivia that I have later. But the writers of this movie intended this movie to be the prequel to Saw. That's why it was written. That's why all the things were done the way they were. And it was ultimately denied. Or declined, as it says here in the trivia.
So it was written with the collector being Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to the collector and kind of created that lore.
I can appreciate that, to be honest. I think removing it from the Saw universe was probably the best thing that they could do, because it stands on its own.
Yeah.
I agree. definitely. Yeah.
I think that's where we go from there on that one. Okay. So, I mean, other characters, everybody else in this movie was pretty much fodder. You get introduced to them. So you got the daughter. She's the rebellious teenage daughter who doesn't want to go on the trip, but she ends up like leaving and coming back with her boyfriend, unaware of what's going on in the house, and they both die some very horrible fucking ways. He probably
They're all wearing the red shirts.
they're all wearing the red shirts. That's right. Then you have obviously the father and the mother, the homeowners themselves.
Fuck, I got a red shirt on.
Yeah, but Stephen King rules. It's a good red shirt. It's a good red shirt. All right. Anybody else have anything else that they want to add to the story? Let's talk about the characters a little bit. Throw in. No? All right.
You don't really get to know much about the collector in this one.
It's true, too.
You just kind of see him. You don't really get an origin or anything. That's what.
But you don't get it in the sequel either, and I kind of like that kind of like you don't know ambiguity. Like, why is he doing this? What's like I always got the vibe like this guy was like just a bored doctor or banker or something.
Well, it reminds me a lot of, was it
Hostel? Yeah.
Where there's like this underground like 1%ers that are like hunting humans and kind of like torturing people. He seems like one of those guys.
He's
just a super rich dude, very intelligent.
An engineer, maybe, because of all the stuff that he builds. To
registered entomologist that's very highly educated and just basically is bored out of his fucking tree and sets up shit and has fun.
Well, he's a collector who ran out of things to collect.
Oh fuck, Josh.
So that's what happens.
Can you imagine? Can you picture like the Josh version of the collector, where like he looks exactly the same, got the mask on and everything, but he's got his glasses
giant
on.
Oh, that's great.
But we just call it the squinty-eyed collector.
Collector.
The squinty-eyed collection.
Oh man, yeah.
It's true though. Like if you collect a certain thing and you like finish your collection, if you have like that, I don't want to say OCD, but like that part of your brain that makes you a completionist. Once you get that thing, you're like, well, what do I collect now? I'm done. What to do now? And this guy's like,
the way that I always pictured the fact that he was collecting this was because, and this kind of goes across the movies. He's collecting. Obviously, he has live specimens, he has dead specimens, everything else. But I feel almost like he treats the humans no different than he would treat an insect. Like it isn't necessarily like, oh well, I'm done collecting insects, I'm gonna go collect humans now. It's just another species to him. It's literally just something else to put in a fucking cage, something else to put in a fucking aquarium or dissect and put on display.
Well, have you ever been to like those zoologist doctors that have like all the pickled animals and all the different creatures in formaldehyde? It's like that. He completed the entirety that is the collectible animals, and he's like, well, let's get some more on here.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting too, where that kind of added to in the first movie when he sees like the spider, and he like stops everything that he's doing to pick up the spider and take it outside, get it out of the house and shit like that. And it's like it was interesting because it started the whole idea of the entomology and what was going on in his collection and his thoughts. So.
Well, it definitely forced the fact that this guy must have some sort of education and stuff, because if he is an entomologist, he's a scientist. So that kind of gives it without saying it that he's got intelligence to be an entomologist. So what else has he done, right? Yeah.
So I don't know what Tim's fucking pointing at, but moving on. Don't worry about it. Okay. I'm handling it, Adam.
No, I bet you Holly's eating supper in front of him.
Oh, that'd be cold as ice. Cold as ice.
All right. I'd like to hear Josh's notes.
Sure. My first viewing of The Collector took place January 24th, 2021 at 6:17 p.m. What the fuck just happened? Was the first note I had. It's like, okay, I didn't sign up for a 6-minute edgy music video. Strange way to start a film. My first note, is this movie about spiders?
Also, yes.
Yes. He's kind of like a spider. He traps his prey. This handyman is giving me some serious weirdo vibes. 15 minutes in, and I don't know what this movie is about. Is it about a stalker, a heist, bugs, or something supernatural?
So you literally went into this not knowing anything really about it. Okay, good.
No. And then Buddy's like super focusing on the spider. I was like, okay, is this like supernatural something? I don't. The old double booked. Oof, the morning phone. Don't even remember that scene. This is next level Home Alone. So it's a home invasion film with a twist. The twist being that the victim isn't the owner, it's a burglar. This is America. What kind of burglar doesn't bring a gun?
A non-violent burglar.
He really dropped the ball on that one, bud.
A hamburger.
You know.
Yeah, he was just there for hamburgers.
Randy.
That would be me. Bear traps in the kitchen. Told him about the safe that he already knew was there and was going to rob. That was pretty comical. When Buddy, the owner, was like, "There's a safe upstairs," and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know."
What's the combination?
Oh shit! He's chopping off her tongue. He collects people. That's when it clicked in my head at this point. And it's like, I see. He just stuffs Larry back into his suitcase. I wrote, the kitty fell in acid glue. That was pretty horrible. That was a horrible scene.
Yep.
Love the silence to build anticipation. Should have definitely gotten the fuck out of that house. No, and no. You got out. You don't owe that little kid jack shit. Stay out. Fish hooks. Very creative. And one of the most cringe parts, chisel tooth. Chisel to the tooth.
Yep.
Cringe. Again with the bugs. About time these useless cops show up. It's like a solid horror movie trope that the cops show up when it's entirely too late. Don't think I've ever seen a film where they throw a flaming dog. You ever see that in a film? The old Jurassic Park mirror trick. Glad to see the chandelier end up getting used. Jump into oncoming traffic. Smart. So the collector was the exterminator. Those are my notes. I really didn't roast this movie. It was really good.
It's pretty solid. Yeah, I could tell because your notes were, there wasn't a lot of like, there was just at the beginning, what the
sarcasm.
fuck, because you were trying to figure out where the movie was
Yeah.
going. But when it picks up, your notes basically go, oh, cool. Oh, cool. I like this. I like that.
Oh, I like this. Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
like
it's,
that.
It's pretty positive, that is. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
It is.
Hello, everybody. I am Fabio Frizzi, and you are listening to Daycast from the Coast.
Oh, that's cool.
Aaron, this is your first time seeing this movie too. What did you think of the effects? What did you think of the effects work?
I thought the effects work was stand up, and it should be for the people that did this. From an SPFX perspective, Mike J. Regan and we're talking Tunnicliffe, so Gary Tunnicliffe. These two, he was the key on this thing. So 2 hours into the dark created all the effects, and that is Gary Tunnicliffe's, his effects company. But it seems when I was doing some research on this film that everybody that's worked on this, including the director and the effects crew, they're a tight knit family, and they work on other things. Hence, like Feast 2, Feast 3, that kind of thing, right? And the effects in those movies were absolutely fantastic. So,
Yeah.
did I say something funny, Tim?
Yeah, tight nip.
Tight knit.
Sexual.
It's pretty funny.
Anyways, I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Tight knit. KNIT.
Unlike us,
Knit.
we're a tight nip crew, right?
Exactly.
Going ahead.
So these guys are also responsible for movies, including Blade, Batman and Robin, some of the Hellraiser stuff, Pumpkinhead 4, The Prophecy, X-Men Origins,
X-Men.
and a bunch of other ones. But these guys are solid. They've been doing makeup effects for a long time. And so, it was no surprise to see some of the really good effects that happened in this show. I liked the credits, the opening credits. I thought it was different, and that's why I liked it. I thought it was kind of out in left field. Great cinematography. I love the use of the camera. The first thing that kind of threw up a flag for me was when the mom was in the bathroom injecting herself with Botox. Did you see how full her syringe was?
Pretty full.
I mean, she just went. I mean, her whole face has got botulism now. Like, holy, right? I mean, I think you only need like 0.01, 0.1 of a cc to get that. Well, she injected the whole thing. So that was the first thing that I noticed. Great trauma effects with Arkin's hand. That was cringy when he got it stuck in the window there, and the blades were cutting into his hand, and I could feel that, and it just kept going and going, and the director was sitting there going, yeah, let's just keep shooting this, with him wiggling it around and blood going, and you can just feel it, cutting into your bone and in the top of your hand.
There was a lot of good cringe.
Yeah, that's what makes a good movie to me, anyway. If it can make me cringe, then yeah, you've done something right. This is like the demented Home Alone was my next thing, Josh. I'm pretty sure Arkin's boots changed throughout this film. Yeah, I know. There's one of those things that I paid attention to, but they do change.
Are thick.
It's
You're
like
ill.
white boots and then black boots, and
What do you?
yeah.
We've had this discussion
There's
before,
something wrong
Josh.
with you, Aaron. What are you looking at his boots?
His boots, man. His
What are
boots.
you
changed.
looking at his boots for?
Because I'm looking at everything in the film, right? And there's shots of his boots, like strictly his feet moving, and I'm like,
Those aren't the same boots I saw earlier. I'm
Did he bring another pair of
My
boots?
eyes deceive me.
Brought no gun, but 3 pairs of boots.
You know what? He should have brought another pair of boots because the acid glue melted his first pair. So, anyway, let's see here. The cat got totally messed up. That was a disturbing scene, and it reminded me of the scene out of Boondock Saints, where Funny Man gets, blows the shit out of the cat on the wall there by slamming the gun on the table. He rescues the cat, throws it over to the window, and then the window slams down and kills the cat.
Yeah.
So the cat was destined. I don't think there was any 9 lives with that one. It was like 1 life, over to the window, dead.
Put it out of
too
its
bad
misery.
for Kitty. Yeah, exactly, right? Good continuity on Arkin's hand. Every time I saw it, it was all bloody and messed up and wrapped up, and it looked pretty good. Very cool mask and eyes on the Collector. Man, didn't I dig that mask. And it's a simple outfit that he was wearing, just a black shirt, black
He was
pants.
dressed like Dexter.
Yeah,
He had, like
with
cargo
his-
pants on.
That's
and
right, yeah.
I
And
can see that.
even with his keys hanging off his belt and everything, it's just, you could tell he's very, I don't know what the word would be, like OCD or scientific, you know what I mean? Like everything was lined up, his shirt was kind of tucked in there, and, so it kind of it kind of creeped me out. And of course the sheen that they had on the contact lenses through that mask, absolutely cool. Very cool.
The mask harkened back to Cronenberg and Nightbreed to me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Decker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Falling into the bear traps. What a cool thought, eh? Writing that in. Let's have somebody fall into the bear traps. And later on, when you see him, you see the police officer look through the window. I don't know if you guys caught it, but the guy's finger was like
twitching
a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose to say, hey, he's still alive, or he's
His
dead.
Nervous system is
twitch
fucked.
of the death
Maybe
nerve.
He's dead.
Yeah, like I don't know, but I thought that was pretty cool with the twitch of the finger. I thought it was awesome. Death by theater screen. Okay, never seen that before. She gets launched up there, and sticks like Velcro.
And
right?
the projector still projecting on her.
Yeah, it's great. Decent sound design. Really like the sound design in this. The part where Arkin and the little girl try and electrocute the collector by spilling the fish tank and then throwing the TV down. That was cool. But the next shot was when he was standing there was no water around his feet. So that was another little thing that I caught in the film, that the water was gone in that scene. I'm like, what the heck happened here? They didn't wet the floor or something. So I picked up on that as well. Fish hook in the eye. Yeah, that's cringe. That's cringe, man. That's totally cringe. I can just imagine, you go out fishing, you can see people getting the fish hook stuck underneath their nail and stuff, and I cringe just seeing that stuff as well. So, fishing hooks, that's a good one for making people cringe. My next question, or my question that I had here, was how long would it have taken to set up all these traps and engineering in this house?
He's extremely efficient.
He must be.
I believe he obviously had it planned before. And he only did it in a couple hours.
Yeah. Like I said, I think there was a lot of premeditated. I don't think it says whim. I don't think it's an
So
act.
the other theory that I have on that is that he's an exterminator, right? Usually you don't call the exterminator once. You have set times. You call the exterminator, they come back in a couple weeks, they check the traps. I think that was set up over the span of probably a month of coming back and follow-up appointments. And as he was crawling around in the house and checking things, I'll go down to the basement and I'll check this. Because you notice almost every single one of the main pieces of the pulleys and everything that actually ran the traps were all hidden in the walls.
Right.
It's only afterward.
If you're not thinking about that, right, if you're not thinking about that, you come out going, well, how did he set all this stuff up? So hopefully the masses watch this so that they can understand that part of it, because that makes total sense, Adam. That's a good catch, man. My next note was Arkin is a badass. I was growing to like this guy a lot. I thought he was kind of like an Ash figure in a way, because he just kept getting the shit beat out of him, and he was still going, blood all over him, and he still had morals and stuff, even though he's fighting with his moralistic kind of thing. My other question that I had was, why did Arkin run in front of the police car? I didn't understand that either. I mean, you want to stop somebody, wave from the side of the road, right? Awesome trauma effects throughout the whole film. Blood and gore, right? You throw blood on somebody, something's definitely wrong. But all the cuts, bruising, the blood effects, all that stuff was solid throughout this whole film. Really enjoyed it. For a sandbox movie taking place all in that one house, which is really cool house, by the way. I thought that it was solid. I enjoyed it. Those are my notes.
Awesome. And because your notes have completed, that means that it's time for something special.
Ooh, what is that?
I'm just gonna say it once. Trivia time with Tim. Yeah.
Ooh. That was really good, Adam.
That was.
Like
He's been
that is it. Like I feel like we gotta record that and play it every episode now. That was really good. Okay, so I don't have a lot of trivia for this movie. But what I do, it's all right. Like I said earlier, the writers intended this movie to be a Saw prequel, but that obviously was declined. Also, like Saw, this film was heavily inspired by Seven, which again I can see that a lot of the camera filters that they used, it had the same kind of palette that dark green kind of vibe
Very
to it.
Fincher-esque.
Yeah. The Collector urban legend is really a catch-all legend for creepy neighbors that may be doing something horrific and horrifying inside their dungeon-like basements. Most of the common collector legend is a neighbor who collects human body parts and proudly displays them in mason jars. In Russia, the collector urban legend has a bright future because it's played out in real life. Its new mascot is a local Russian historian, which I'm not saying his name, who stole corpses from cemeteries in the dozens in towns east of Moscow. According to police, he dug up at least 29 corpses and made dolls out of them with life-size faceless female dolls with platinum blonde wigs. So yeah, this movie's kind of loosely based on that kind of idea, which is pretty creepy. Originally set up and financed by Dimension Films, The Collector was dropped by the cash-strapped studio after they didn't have the funds to release the film. Lydell Entertainment snatched up the rights from Dimension and gave the film a brief but very successful theatrical run in 2009. And finally, oh no, I actually have two. I don't know if you guys know this, but there is an after-credit sequence. So there is a post-credit sequence at 1:29:30. And it specifically says this, not to be creepy or anything, but this makes Madeline Zima's first nude debut. That's what it says.
Okay.
Madam Zima's.
Yeah, she was the little girl on The Nanny, and she's the one that had her boobies out. She was the oldest daughter, went back and got killed.
She showed us the boobies.
She was also in Californication.
Oh yeah.
The old
Booby
booby trap.
The booby trap.
The old booby trap. And those are my
Trivia
time
with Tim.
Oh,
My.
you're like
Adam got
those kind of
pipes.
like they had fucking like kind of Axl Rose vibes, like a little
I'll try
bit.
better
Like
next time. Thank you.
that was good. It's
Excellent.
good.
No, I like those. Those are some really good pieces of trivia on this. So with that, I think we need to go around, give some final thoughts on this movie, and just kind of spout anything else that we want to say about it. So first and foremost, I know you just talked, Tim, but you didn't give us that much, so you're going first.
Okay then. All right, I love this movie. I love this movie a lot. It kind of just found its way into my viewing life. I was just bored one night, and probably around 2010, 2011, I was on a kick of like finding kind of hidden gems amongst horror movies. Usually anything that's done by like the ICF films
IFC,
or whatever.
independent film
You know,
groups,
those
yeah.
independent. Yeah. And I'd look up lists and all that, and I kept seeing like The Collector, so I watched it, and it was a little rough the first 15 minutes. It was just kind of slow paced, but it was setting everything up, and then boom, like everything just kind of happens in it. I loved it. I thought it was a better version of Saw, really. Like I like Saw, but Saw isn't creepy. Saw is just basically torture porn. You know what I mean? Like it's got these elaborate, very well thought out traps, but there's nothing at stake. There's no, you know, doom and gloom dread type of thing. And the thing that I liked about The Collector was it took all that stuff from Saw, but then added almost like a Michael Myers kind of vibe to it with the Collector. He's hiding around and like. And I felt that was probably one of the things that was missing from the Saw movies was how creepy would it have been if Saw played out the exact same as it did, but Jigsaw was there the whole time, killing and doing all that stuff besides the traps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just added an extra layer of like, you know, tension. I really liked the movie. I thought the acting was pretty solid. The story, like Adam said earlier, was basic, but it was intriguing. Like I kept watching it, even though it was basic as fuck. Special effects were top notch. Yeah, I just really like this movie. I really like this movie. I am absolutely going to give this an R.
Highly recommended from Tim. Nice. Josh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I too also enjoyed this film. I am very fascinated by horror that doesn't necessarily have the supernatural aspect. So completely plausible to happen in our reality, and as it turns out, loosely based on things that have already happened. The concept of these one percenters that have kind of grown bored with their life after immense education and riches, like the same concept is kind of like Hannibal Lecter, where he has no superpowers, but he's extremely intelligent, and for whatever reason his past led him down this very similar to the Collector in Hostel that I mentioned earlier. That any of these kind of films really interest me, those. And to piggyback on what Tim said, the effects were great. The story arc of the characters were great. Not really many negative things to say about this, other than that first unnecessary, like edgy music video. It felt like House of a Thousand Corpses a little, which I'm not super keen on that kind of style. But ultimately, it well-deserved R.
Well-deserved R. Aaron!
Yeah. I totally enjoyed this film. I'm glad you guys recommended it, to be honest, because I couldn't believe I hadn't seen this. First of all, I really like when a production company has a family dynamic when it comes to they're using a group of people that they absolutely like, and they probably all kind of. To me, it's obvious that they all know each other when it comes to like the makeup department and the director and things like that. I mean, they've worked on multiple things, and I love how they continue to make these films together, and it keeps it feeling kind of like the same when you're going from this movie into the second one, and it's just got like a solid neutral feeling when it comes to all the effects. There's no sloppy things going on. The director knows what he wants, and the effects crew know what he wants because they've all worked together before. So it's just a nice dynamic to have that. Lots of makeup people involved. So before I even watch a film, I just look at IMDb. I don't look at all the spoilers or anything like that, but I like to read, who the cast and crew is and things. And when I see a big makeup department, then I know that there's going to be a lot of effects in it. So it gets me hyped up for it. So I really enjoy that, right? I'm like, yeah, right on. This is going to be pretty cool. The mask design, they nailed that. I thought that was really, really cool. The way that it was textured, and the way that it felt like it was like bending fabric, but you could tell it was maybe rubber or silicone.
And it was like sparkly in some lights.
That's what I mean, right? Like
the
way that they colored it, and they did it properly for the dark shooting of the film, the cinematography when they I know back in the day when they were using film, like Kodak would have an orange kind of tinge, like a Jerry Bruckheimer kind of thing, right? And then you've got Fujifilm, which would have that green grayish kind of look to it, right? But nowadays it's digital and things, so for them to get that feel, A1, man, I really, really like that feel. And the mask was excellent. I love all the shots of him pulling it tight and that kind of thing. And the contact lenses, they nailed it with that as well. I mean, those eyeballs stick out. And when you see this character, you're like, oh my gosh, like this guy's a brute. I don't have anything to do with this guy. Yeah. A lot of the stuff that we mentioned earlier, maybe it's like things that are not said. It's like you're looking at a painting and you want to make your own decision of what your own hypothesis what the painting actually stands for when it comes to the artist. I think there's a lot of stuff in this. Adam, you brought that up earlier, trying to fill in the gap, how he filled this all in, right? I never thought, well, he's an exterminator, he would have been in there building that stuff. So that's a good point, right? That's an awesome point. And I like how they've got little hidden things like that that can make sense, because I was struggling with that. So I really thought that was, if you're paying attention to this, that means a lot to me. If it doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form, then you kind of lose, you lose a few points from me anyway. But overall, this film was, I completely enjoyed it. The hour and a half went by super fast.
Hold on now.
What?
What did you just back up? Yeah, right there.
I completely enjoyed it, he says.
No, before that.
What? I don't know what I said. What did I say?
About
Something
not
bad?
making sense, losing points.
Yeah, wait a second here.
not
Wait
talking about-
a second. Good catch, Josh, because I was just, well, I mean, just dumbstruck listening to Aaron's fucking special effects wisdom and his adorable, charming face. Like,
We'll have to play
Drop.
the tapes back, but I believe it was something to the effect of, when something doesn't make sense, it loses a lot of points with me.
Lose a lot of points.
Guys,
Just
it doesn't
with me,
need to go there.
And if this is a reference to Phantasm, you guys can just...
I don't know what you mean.
You know it is.
Just because
What
you
else are we
didn't
gonna bug you
understand
with
it.
here?
Anyway,
Phantasm is like an
continue, sorry to
artist
interrupt.
painting. Everybody's got a hypothesis about
You
it.
son of a bitch, Josh. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's like one of those giraffe pictures you look at and you can't see.
All right, I'm ending this because, y'all, I'm giving it an R.
Nice, 3 R's so far.
Yeah.
3 R's so
Yeah, it's
far.
Definitely got.
Before Adam goes, I read something. Did you guys pick up that the collector was blind?
No.
I saw that before. That was a theory.
No,
and
it was that the actor who played it was interviewed and straight up said his character is blind. He played him as being blind.
because that was the whole premise. This was the theory that his eyes were like fucking like. That's why they were like mirrored.
Wonky, yeah.
What, as an entomologist, a blind entomologist, what does he do? Feel
He
all
would
the
not
bugs and
have been
figure
able
out
to
what
see
they
that
are?
little fucking spider.
This is a
I don't
black
know.
widow. Bzz, oh, damn.
But maybe that was kind of just how he played him. Like that was
Yeah.
his, using his other senses instead of his
Well-
sight, right? Almost, an animal predator.
Well,
right?
Vin Diesel, he had his eyes shined. He could see in the dark.
Which is fine, but then you couple that with his wonky looking eyes.
yeah.
Right.
Well, that actually does kind of play into what I wanted to say when it came to how I feel about this movie. So, one of the best things about this movie
See how he just kind of fucking
hijacks
I'm
the
gonna do my review.
situation. Yeah, let's fucking do this. One of the best things I like about this movie is the actual collector himself and how he's portrayed. He is a fucking brute. He's a beast. He's got fucking amazing talent and skill as to how he set up the traps, how he's doing things. And he is a pure fucking predator. So somebody just mentioned that, but that's right off the top of the tongue. He's a predator. So like in the scenes where like you see like Arkin running through one door and then the fucking collector coming in through the next door and he's standing there and he's listening. And it's almost like he's just taking in his surroundings because something's not right here. You know what I mean? And then Arkin leaves and he's kind of like alerted again and shit like this. Like, it is an absolute cat and mouse game to this guy. And he is like an apex fucking predator in this movie. And he's good at what he does. So there's no way around it. And that...
Well, that makes sense too, Adam. Sorry to interrupt, but that makes sense too then. Because those scenes where he's chasing the
Yeah.
sounds, right?
Yeah.
So you're going all sixth sense.
This dude is tuned in. This dude is tuned in. He's got this down to a T. He's got it. The house is locked down a certain way. He's got traps everywhere. He's got everything that can possibly make a sound to alert him as to what's going on and where. He knows where people should be in that house because he's got them locked up in certain ways in certain places. He's got it down. Like in 1 second, there was a scene where like somebody like knocks something, and he looks up. He knows there's something else going on in that house. It's not a fucking mouse.
But
or
see,
anything.
the thing is, I don't mean to interrupt either, Adam, but I don't know if any of you have worn a type of mask that he's wearing, but it cuts down a lot of your senses. Like, I didn't see any ear holes.
That's a good point.
Right? He's got a very limited viewing, so almost like tunnel vision, right? Like, maybe he was wearing, maybe because he is such an apex predator, he was wearing this to almost give them a chance.
Damn.
Do you know what, though? If you're blind, then your other senses apparently pick up, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
And when you're wearing a mask and you're, like, for instance, if you're in one of our haunted houses or something, you're wearing a mask, you can feel the vibrations through the mask.
Yeah.
That's resting against your ear, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're getting super technical here now, but yeah, these are all good points.
Now,
boys.
there's a chance that he's not maybe blind, but maybe legally blind. Because, like, my uncle was legally blind, and his sense of smell and his hearing was out of this fucking world. He went to school for the blind, but he could actually see, but just very minimally. So there's a very good chance that that's the type of situation that's going on, because he still does look like he's got visual to him. Because, like I said, he picks up the spider, and like he would not have seen that spider if he didn't actually have his eyes.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance that he just does have extremely awesome heightened senses in other ways. So yeah, absolutely, he's a fucking.
And maybe those mirrored contacts actually allow him to see better.
Could
maybe
that too.
And especially in like low light situations and stuff. Look at us.
Absolutely.
Look at us dissecting intelligently this movie.
Yes. Go on.
Mm-hmm. I like what you said there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I love the portrayal of the character because, and once again, it wasn't an elaborate costume, so that was already mentioned. It was fucking black cargo pants, military style boots, fucking shirt that was tucked in with a belt, and the fucking mask. And I am a huge proponent for masked serial killers in these movies and slashers. I love good masked characters. I mean, my favorite is Leatherface, obviously. The perfect, in my opinion, masked serial killer. And it's just, it's nonstop with this movie. And I love it. I was in a very similar situation as to what Tim stated earlier. I heard about this movie through the grapevine. I kept seeing it pop up, and I didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. And then just one night, I was like, and I put it on because it was on like a rental system, and I just rented it. And blown away. I couldn't wait for the sequel, and now I can't wait for the third one that's apparently coming too, because I have high hopes that it will actually be good. So I'm going to round this one off, and I'm going to give it an R rating. So we've just gone 4 and 4 for R ratings.
Triple R.
Quadruple R even, Tim.
Yeah.
Quadruple
Yeah.
R's. And there you go. 4 R's for The Collector. A great movie. We all highly recommend it, and without a doubt, this is a mainstay movie. I've seen this movie now. I think watching it for this is probably about my dozenth time seeing this movie. Like seriously, like since it came out in like 2009, I've seen it at least once a year. I'll put this on for just a background noise movie even. So good stuff. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for the night. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and checking out what we had to say on The Collector, because, I mean, we really enjoyed this movie. And the conversation went great tonight, guys. Yeah, we really kind of picked that apart. It was pretty good. A little bit more technical than normal, which is great. So, thank you, everyone.
Normally, you guys are a bunch of
Normally,
idiots.
we just spout
Said some
bullshit.
smart things tonight.
Adam's sitting there reading shit from Bloody Disgusting and repeating what they're saying. No. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching this episode with us. Please do not forget to check us out on social media, The Misunderstood Art Company. Like, share, subscribe, send it out to everybody out there. We also produce weekly content right here on the YouTube channel for The Misunderstood Art Company. So like, share, and subscribe that, please. We also produce audio copies on all the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and even Amazon Music. We're also on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallets. Donate to the cause of coffee for Tim. And that's about it. And until next time, Josh?
I'm 99.9% the collector was blind. That's all.
Okay.
Your final word?
Blind ambition.
That's
Aaron.
Make sure you look both ways before you cross the street. Don't be an Arkin.
And Tim.
Stay safe. Stay spooky.
All right. See you next time, people.
Good night.
Night.